now is the official BC Lions podcast. Great to have you back, Matt Baker, and the return of Nick Kowalski. Nick was off doing some pretty cool stuff last week, wasn't able to join us, of course, so we encourage you to go and listen, download. Nice little round table on SFU football and the quest to save that. Very, very big story locally and nationally here, but Nick, it's great to have you back. We're remote today, not at the Go-Goat Sports Studios, but what's shaking? You got a haircut since we last had you on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the buzz cut for this summer, and there's no going back now, right? Obviously, but I haven't done this look in a long time, and I'm liking it. It's simple, it's easy. Don't have to worry about doing my hair or nothing like that. But I do kind of miss the longer hair at moments.
Did you do it yourself?
Oh no chance. I had to get the fade on the side. For all the viewers at home. Yeah, I had to make it look good at least.
We're not in COVID lockdown anymore. You can actually. That was one of the biggest.
I would never do that.
That was one of the biggest adjustments of the lockdown. I think when it started, I was kind of at the stage I'm at now. For those watching on YouTube or BCLions.com, so I eventually had to get my wife to cut my hair for me once before they opened hairdresser places or barber shops. It actually wasn't half bad. I was joking with her that she might get on full time as an in-house hairdresser, but thankfully we were able to get back to normal life and feels very much normal right now. Since we last talked, we teased it quite a bit on the last episode we did together, but a week since our jersey launch, and I got mine here. I've got my blackout here. You weren't, of course, in the office Monday, so you weren't there to receive yours. We all got these on the business side. Personalized. It's not a Brian Burnham. It's a 16 for the year I started. My own name bar on the back there for those watching. So the reaction to this, Nick, we were fairly confident it would be well received, but I wouldn't say unanimous, but the vast majority of the reaction we've gotten for the blackouts and the fog grays, and kudos to you and the creative wizards for telling the story the way you did. Very awesome.
Yeah, I would say the reaction for a jersey launch is about as good as it was going to get. It was pretty fantastic to see league-wide people digging both sets. I mean, the gray seemed to be very popular, and that's kind of the idea behind the gray is that it stands out. It's exclusive on the road. We're going to be the only road team right now wearing a non-white jersey, which is very exciting. And then, the black. You're wearing it right now. It looks sharp. It looks sharp on anybody. It's good to wear in the crowd. It's good to wear out in the street. It looks intimidating on the field. I'm really excited now for that week 1 game where the whole team's gonna be running out in those black jerseys, and then of course there's orange on it too. So sticking to the brand colors, obviously, and it's just a really clean look.
Yeah, I know that's kind of that's the one constant criticism is some people not too happy that there's not an orange jersey, and we get that. I mean, we get that. Orange is what makes the club unique in the CFL, but have to remember as well, black has been the primary color for a good chunk of the team's history. I mean, I outlined it in the stories we put out, media releases, everything. Some of the best moments for this franchise, they were wearing black. Couple of Grey Cup wins, couple of huge playoff wins when BC Place was pretty much packed in the early 2000s. And trust me, everyone's entitled to their views, and I understand those who might not be too down with it. But wait till you see these things on the field. We have a blackout game this year against Calgary at the end of the year, but it's going to look cool outside of that game only. You see, like I said, in the stands, people in black shirts, black jerseys, and I'm with the fog grays. Those are just slick. I love it. I love everything about those. Love them.
Mm-hmm. And then when it came to the actual production of them, like the design team, they crushed it. I know it's been in the works for years now. And then I don't know if this is tooting my own horn, but I want to toot our team's own horn because we produced this whole production in-house for the release, and from Carolyn Cody, who was really overseeing everything and managing the whole production, to Stephen Chang taking all the photos. Jeff Vinnick also helped out. But of course, Liam Thompson, Janelle Kent, Hillary Romans, our graphic designers, they crushed it too. It just looked cool on socials this week, and the graphics are really cool. The players did a really good job. I always say we have the most entertaining players and the most charismatic players in the entire CFL. So It was nice to really showcase their personalities while wearing the jerseys too.
Yep. Very exciting times indeed. And it's a nice tie-in because we are just a couple of weeks away from the draft. And then after that, 3 weeks today, Nick, we're recording this on the Wednesday. Exactly 3 weeks from now, we'll pretty much be driving to Kamloops. The rookies or the first years. It's my own, can't just call them rookies because some of them have played pro football, but
First
first
year,
year
yeah.
Lions, go with first year Lions,
I
will
like
be
that
on
term.
the field 3 weeks from today in the evening. They'll start it off with a quick walkthrough. We also announced this week Fan Fest officially back May the 20th on the Saturday. So scrimmage, autographs, hot dogs, beer, soft drinks, fun for the kids, fun for the whole family, all ages. That to me is kind of the true kickoff to the season from an events perspective. We are expecting, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but we are expecting something in the next couple of weeks as well in regards to a season opening act, entertainment musical act, like One Republic last year. We don't know who it is. We don't know when exactly it's going to be, but knock on wood that we know very soon. And it's exciting right now, Nick. It's in the air.
Very, I have a big smile on my face just even thinking about driving up to Kamloops. Being there in Kamloops is going to be great too, but that drive it's beautiful. And I know the Coquihalla. I quickly learned how to pronounce it, and I think I got it down too still. But it's just such a beautiful place to have a training camp. You're in a valley kind of in between all the mountains, and I love putting my drone up when I'm out there too, just because of the backdrop. I think it's a really big selling point for playing football in British Columbia, how beautiful the scenery is when you're around here. So it's exciting stuff. Like football's just around the corner now.
Just call it the Coke. That's all you got to do.
The Coquihalla. I think I got it right.
Coquihalla, Coca. Yeah, you're good. Just say it. Yeah, you're right. I think you're on the right track there.
That was a difficult one. I found there's a lot of difficult BC terms. Like Coquitlam was another one that was kind of intimidating, just looking at all those letters put together. But I got it down pretty quickly.
You were just on Vancouver Island. Did you go to Ucluelet? That's another funny pronunciation. I don't think you did.
No, I've never even heard of it. I went to Nanaimo.
Yeah. How was your experience on Vancouver Island?
Well, we can get into that later, but it was my first time being out there. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. We're going to talk in a few minutes to Neil McEvoy, club's co-GM. Of course, him, Rick Campbell, Ryan Rigmaiden in the middle of free agent camps in the U.S. You and I are planning to go down to Seattle in a few days and film some Arrow Up content. But Arrow Up Episode 1 launching Sunday. Long anticipated, but nice job yourself, Liam, mainly. Just chronicling the offseason transition at quarterback again, highlighting some new free agents. We sat down with Michael Couture, just to name one. So on the content side, we're very much looking forward to Arrow Up. Anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, I'm just really excited for it to launch too. I know it was a big project last year, and we're definitely happy to be bringing it back again. The story right now that's starting is just the camaraderie of this team, and we're planning to talk about it with Neil McEvoy here coming up. But this is a really close team, and it's already developing. It's already in the works of this team coming together and bonding, and that's what we've been documenting so far. And we're excited to show you guys that upcoming in the next couple of weeks, because Arrow Up's going to be dropping pretty much every week up until week 1 of the season, which kind of sounds a little crazy saying out loud, but that just means that the stories that are to come, we don't even know yet. They're going to be happening live. They're going to be happening in draft night. They're going to be happening in training camp in Kamloops. We don't even know what's going to happen. But it's going to be exciting, and I'm always thrilled to show the fans that access that we're privileged to get.
A lot of cool drone shots. We have the trailer for the season on our website, bclions.com. All our socials will put out at least one more promo before the launch on Sunday. Very excited for this. It's going to be fun once again. So that's just one of the exciting things we got going on right now. We've talked a bit about Lion Kings. You were in Tacoma with VA and a bunch of the guys, hence your absence on last week's episode. It is a cool group, and I saw Keon Hatcher out in the parking lot today. It's a guy who's been spending a lot of time here. Nick, that just tells you how all in these guys are, that they've made this spot their off-season home.
Yeah, and it's just a really good group of guys. They all really get along. If you want to go inside the den a bit, I was also out of town before this in Prince George. I've been
Right.
around a bit lately, and yeah, so
Has
I
been
was
a
there.
while. Yeah, since
Yeah,
we talked on here. Yeah.
so I was out there for the Play with the Pros clinic, and just we went out for a pub night before, and the guys, you can just hanging around with them, seeing them engage with fans. You can tell they're excited. Fans are excited. It just seems like a really close bond already. That's already, like I said, forming with this team already. You can definitely tell just being around these guys. I don't know if we want to go inside the den right now too, but I have a bit of a funny story about our favorite Andrew Pearson.
Yeah.
That
So
during our pub night, yeah.
let's hear it.
So we were at the pub night, and pretty much we were at this place in King George, or on in Prince George. I think it was called the Black Clover Pub. It was a really good pub,
Black
actually.
Clover. Yeah.
Really good food in Prince George. Actually, I had this I had a sandwich that was really good. But where I'm naturally sitting beside Andrew Pearson, and we start talking about deals and deals that you can find, whether it's happy hour or anything like that. And he says, "Oh, funny story. Back in his college days, him and his buddies, they had this startup app that was based around, and it was an app that had all these happy hour places listed. So whenever you were wondering, okay, where's a happy hour, where's a good restaurant deal tonight, you just opened this app. It was called Hippo. So he showed me the Instagram feed, all the marketing they did, all
Wow.
the tech they had to do with it, and unfortunately, I don't think they pursued it anymore. I think COVID, wow, when COVID hit, considering it was an app that promoted restaurant deals and restaurants are no longer open, it kind of
Right.
they kind of stopped working with it. But it was a really cool story. We were talking about it for probably a good 20-30 minutes, and he was showing me all these Photoshop stuff he was doing with it and all the promotions they had. And I think they had like these deals in Pittsburgh and stuff like that. It was just a really interesting story that uh, me and Mr. Pearson were talking about for quite a while.
I didn't know that about him. That
Yeah.
yeah, he's a smart guy. It doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that's a guy who's going to have some options whenever his playing days come to an end, and he's so great. I mean, I took him down to CTV Morning Live, and kind of a funny thing. We never ended up putting this on the Instagram. Maybe we still should because we got the video. Long story short, we get him down to CTV. Mark Dreeshen, weatherman extraordinaire, big Lions fan, does the interview after we've unveiled it. Long story short, couldn't have his game jersey wasn't done yet, so we had to take Suk Chung's game jersey. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got some good news and some bad news. I've got a jersey, but it's not yours. It's Suk's, and he kind of does the oh man, these Suk's never gonna let me forget about this. So he's trying the jersey on in the waiting room down at the studio, and I'm filming it, and he's like trying not to roll his eyes, and so that. But my point is, Andrew's great. Anything we ask him to do, we do, and so it was kind of, I thought about like if it was April Fool's Day or something, I'd say that Andrew Pearson stole Suk Chung's number for good. But funny little inside thing.
I did notice that. Yeah.
He's a good sport. He played along with it pretty nice. So yeah, we've got Arrow up, community visits, our Indigenous youth football program. Liam's taking on that project. We'll be talking more about that when it ends with the tournament in about 10 days' time. Lots happening, and we're glad to be bringing you the content. Without further ado, though, we are going to talk draft, training camp, overall roster construction. Got a couple mailbag submissions as well from social media. Your questions for Neil McEvoy coming up on First and Now. And it is our great pleasure to welcome in Neil McEvoy, the club's co-general manager, director of football operations. Just two of the titles he holds with this storied organization. Neil, great to have you back on again.
Thanks for having me. It's always exciting to look outside and see the spring and see the grass being cut, which means Canadian professional football is about to start. And that's always an exciting time.
Yeah, I was downstairs talking to Brent Frid this week. Of course, him and Aaron and the entire crew getting ready. It really feels real for those guys when the truck is here getting loaded. We're about a couple of weeks away from that, but must feel like Christmas for you, hey?
Yeah, I mean, it's always when you get to go through the draft process and start looking at the top players that you're going to be able to draft and the global draft and just finalizing your training camp roster. Christmas obviously being training camp and the start of the season, so it's an exciting time, and it's a lot of work to do, but we're certainly putting in the effort to make this the best team we can make it.
Yeah, inside of 2 weeks away from the draft. Off the top of my head, I want to say we have 6 or 7 picks over 8 rounds. Of course, back into the first round after trading Jordan Williams a couple months ago. But as you look at it now, you've been to the combine, you're in meetings constantly, like you said. I mean, what excites you the most about the crop of players in this year's Canadian draft?
Yeah, it's always a good process to, I guess, mine through the players that are there, and that's sort of the exciting part of the job, or the cool part of the job, where you get to really evaluate the top Canadian players that are going to be coming and playing professional football over the next, hopefully 3 to 5 to 6 to maybe 10 years. And so we've gone to the combine, we've done our interviews, we've watched a lot of film, and now it's starting to plateau and put these guys in order and how we draft. So we draft 9 and 14. We have a pretty good idea of what we want to do. So the way the plateau works is we pick basically 14 guys, and we'll get 2 of those guys, and so we all have to be on board that those 2 individuals are, everyone first of all is excited about having them, and they would be a good addition to our football team. And that's, at the end of the day, that's how you do it. You got to bring in guys that are going to adapt and be able to play within how you guys, or how we run the organization. There's no use bringing in a player who's going to be someone that is not going to help you, or someone that's going to disrupt the current apple cart. So takes a long time to get through that process, but we have 14. We have 70 guys that we like that will be on the draft board. That at the end of the day, that's how we're going to have to build it.
And lastly, for me here, before I bring Nick in, overall, how would you assess the improvement of our Canadian content? Because you talked about this, trading a guy like Jordan, outstanding rookie, not easy, but the bottom line is there are some guys, Ben Haladik, Isaiah Messam, a veteran now, who may be ready to fill those starting spots and not just play special teams. I mean, it must be nice having that luxury.
Yeah, and not only that, we feel that we have good guys coming up. Ryder Varga, a draft pick we had last year. We feel that we have a good crop of guys coming up, and we're able to, upgrade our draft class by getting, moving an asset. A little bit. Mr. Williams wanted to play back east, so it was, an easy decision for us, but we weren't going to just give him away. So we were able to get something in return for a good football player. And so, now it's our job to replenish and replace that player with a good player in the draft, which is exactly what we'll, be expected to do in May.
And Neil, in relation to the draft, we haven't talked to you on this platform since you attended the combine. Can you just explain how that process was this year, and was there anything that really stood out from attending the combine in Edmonton this year?
Yeah, so it was a little different this year. Historically, you go there like on a Thursday, and you have just do the combine stuff on Friday. You interview the players Friday night, and do some more combine stuff Saturday, more interviews Saturday night, and then on field stuff Sunday. Well, this year we went on a Tuesday. We got all the combine stuff out of the way. That's the height, the weight, the 40s and stuff like that on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they actually practiced with pads and had, almost like an all-star practice. There wasn't a game, but it was certainly great to see, the top Canadian players compete against each other. And it gave us an opportunity to really, take a look at what's out there. And I really liked the format. I liked the fact that it wasn't crammed into 2 days, and you try to get so much done, but you're up for 15, 16, 17 hours getting all this stuff done. By the last interview Saturday night, you're just hanging on by a thread, just because you've been up so long, just because you got to cram everything in. This year was, I think, a great process and a great change up to be able to have the guys longer, have our coaches coach these guys. And so, we have a really good insight into, how these guys are all going to fit into the puzzle of professional football.
And when it comes to that interview process too, when you yourself, Coach Rick Campbell, and everybody else that's involved in the interview process, what are some of the things you're looking for in terms of the players that you're interviewing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I like the interview process to just get to know the guys a little bit more. If the guy comes in and is at the end of the day, you got to be able to not only play on the field, but you have to promote and be a professional off the field. And so, the interview process for me just gives the club an opportunity to look at these and talk to these guys before they do become professional athletes. And um, most of the guys, it all started back about 25 years ago when we started doing this. We didn't do interviews, then we started doing interviews, and now it's sort of the mainstay of the combine. Guys are pretty much taught how to do it, but I still like the process of talking to them just to see a little bit of a background. Again, you're inviting these guys into your family. This is a family, this football team, on and off the field. And so it's my job to be sure that if we're going to adopt a family member, that he is going to be the right fit for all of us. And that's the interview process for me. Just gets a little bit more in depth into maybe what you don't see on the field. A lot of guys, going through the interview process, maybe football isn't for them. You get that out of them. You talk to guys, and yeah, my passion is to stay back east. I want to be with my family. My passion is to be, a police officer or whatever it may be. And so, at the end of the day, you have to put all that together to be sure that you're drafting the right guy. You just don't want to draft a guy to have him here for a year, then all of a sudden he retires to be a police officer, which would be great. And a lot of these guys who are going into the police services are great guys, and they're going to be great for all of us to protect us. But at the end of the day, my job is to bring the best guy in to be football players and then police officers next.
And then transitioning more into the roster this season, you talk about it being a family. It's a group that has a lot of core pieces back. The entire coaching staff is back. Why are these things important to have heading into the season?
Yeah, well, I mean, we believe in having a good group of guys. Then we feel we have a good group of guys, so there's no use right now changing it. Obviously, there is attrition with free agency and guys retiring. Obviously, we lost a guy like Brian Burnham, one of the greatest receivers ever to dress as a BC Lion. So, obviously we're gonna miss those guys, and we're gonna have to find the next group of guys to replace the guys who had left. Then we feel that we have a good core group. What happens if you don't let the new guys excel? Then they lose passion, and they sometimes just lose interest in playing. And so you have to give the new guys an opportunity if you feel that they have the ability to do it. So our core group of guys we really, really liked, and we have that all back. And the coaching staff, it's the same thing. If those guys work with the players, they're the front line that direct the players on the field, and we just feel we have a really good group here all over, and it was for our best interest for all of us to keep as many people as we can around, and we're lucky enough to do that. And so now it's on to training camp to see exactly how we can be for 2023.
Neil, you mentioned family. Young Nick here was a part of this down in Tacoma at Lion Kings. Vernon Adams Jr. holding a little 7-on-7 camp. And you see a few of our players from different backgrounds. I mean, you see the Adamses, the Luckies, the Rhymes, the TJs, but you see a young guy like Jake Lampman who's going to come to camp and try and show his stuff. He's part of this. Just how close is this group? I mean, I've been here, I think, 7 years now, and I don't remember a Lions team that was this close away from the actual day-to-day season routine.
Yeah, I really believe that having a close-knit group of guys off the field will help you on the field. At the end of the day, you do need to have professional athletes competing against, the professional athletes. That the other teams are all good. They're all professionals. Everyone gets paid to be on the field to play. But that being said, if that's all equal, which it pretty much is across the board. Obviously, there's all stars and the weakest link, but at the end of the day, you need to have a close knit group, which we call our family, to be able to, it's like anything else. You have to be close to the next guy so you can help him out when he is down and all that stuff. We are like any other family. We have issues off the field. We have issues on the field. We have, there's arguments, there's personal stuff that goes on. And the closer the group is, I find that the easier those roadblocks are, better handled for all of us. And, we are a close knit group. We have a contingency of guys that have been here for a long time. And so it's going to be exciting to see how these guys can all gel and put it on the field and keep on winning football games, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Once we get through with the draft, it's all about Kamloops pretty much. A week after the draft, we'll be heading up the Coquihalla for another Lions camp, and I know that's one of the highlights on all our calendars, really. But looking down these position groups and everything, it's hard to ask you to pick one. But what are you looking forward to the most with this camp specifically, and what we're going to see?
Well, I've said this before. I'm looking forward to having a guy like Big Play VA be with our offense for more than just a couple weeks, and then throw him to the wolves and expect more than what he did. And let's be honest. I mean, we got Vernon via trade, and 2 weeks later, he's starting against Calgary and winning. So, I mean, that's a testament to him at his professionalism and how great he can be. And I'm excited about seeing where they've already, as you said, they've already started working. They've started talking with Jordan and started getting all the stuff, all the pieces together to be an exciting offense. I think our defense is going to be exciting because it's pretty much the same group. But I'm excited to see how much better the offense can be with being there longer together and just having the ability to gel and put some stuff together, because you got to score points and stop points, and I feel our offense has all the tools to score lots of points and be an exciting football team in 2023.
And the last time we talked to you, too, Vernon Adams was announced as the number one guy heading into the season. But now there's Dane Evans, there's Dominic Davis also on the roster. So although VA is the number one guy, what benefits does having that trio of quarterbacks now have?
Well, the quarterback position is a very tough position, arguably the toughest position in all of professional sports. And so the more guys you have in the room dissecting these, and these defenses get harder and harder and harder and tougher and more athletic. And so you really have to have a group of highly, intelligent individuals in the room guiding all, the whole group has to be gelled. And it's all three of those guys, including Coach McSimic, getting those guys ready to make us the best team we can be. And I just believe having that group that you mentioned all on the same page. And we'll have a couple more guys at training camp as well. But, like I said, those are the three mainstay guys that have experience in this league that I believe will be able to make this football team excitable. That's what it's all about. Being able to go onto the field, scoring points, having the teams excited. You guys know what happened last year. We started scoring points. All of a sudden, we're the talk of the town. We're selling lots of tickets, and things are great. We just got to keep that going, which I believe with this group we can.
And before we get into the mailbag part of the interview here, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the new jerseys that launched last week and your thoughts on those, and also just the buzz that created. And then, like you talked about last season with all scoring points, it seems like there's a lot of high excitement right now.
Yeah, I really, really like the jerseys. I didn't realize there was a color called fog, but now I do. So, I sit corrected. But I really like them. Matt's wearing it now. I think it's a testament to the group that put it together. As Matt said earlier, the team, my favorite hockey team has a simple jersey. I like going back to simple, just black and orange, makes us look tough, makes us, when there's too many lines and too many else, it gets confusing. So I like the simplicity of it, and going back to our roots to the 50s. I know it was black and white, but black and gray after the game was done because it usually got a little muddy. So black and fog sounds good to me. I really, really like it. And I think these will be good jerseys for everyone.
Yeah, Leaf Nation is already in quite the panic. As we record this, they're looking to even their series with Tampa, but there'll be lots more hockey viewing when we do get to Kamloops. Hopefully, the Maple Leafs will still be playing in about another 3 or 4 weeks. But before we get to the mailbag, I wanted to ask you, Coach Campbell did an interview with Sakaris and Price a month or so back, just a general off-season catch-up. Was a very great interview. Got deep into a lot of great subjects with the football team. One of the things Coach said to those guys is, if there was no limits, if there was no salary cap, I would keep signing more and more defensive linemen. But wanted to specifically ask about the Lemonator, Sean Lemon, coming back for a third stint. And this was a guy, age doesn't matter with him. We saw how effective he was in those games against Calgary. How excited are you to have Sean back? And, might he be a benefit of this new naturalized Canadian ratio?
Yeah, we went into the free agent period thinking that, our defensive line, we really like our defensive line, but we're missing a little bit of, as what they call whiskers, oldness on it. We feel that those guys are all young and excitable and move, great at rushing the passer. But when it came to just being a little more veteran, we just didn't have that, especially with O'Boom deciding to not play. Because last year, sort of, he was that veteran presence, and with him deciding not to play this year, it sort of, made us decide, hey, we're going to have to look for another guy. Who is going to be that guy? And, Sean Lemon, God bless him, had a great years, had a really good 2 years and has played hard. And when we played against him, he was hard to deal with. So we just felt that he would be a good addition, again, back to what we said earlier, to add to the family dynamic. He's a good guy that a lot of the young guys look up to, even when he was with other teams. He was guys that, he was a guy that our guys would talk to for guidance. So when it came to, you might as well have that guy in your football team if our guys are talking to him for guidance anyway. So it was a good addition, and we're excited to have him. And I think he's going to be a good stable addition for the young guys, which they sort of need. They sort of need the big brother to lean on, and he's going to be that rock for those guys.
Very well said. Couple quick moments here, and we've kept you for a long time, and we appreciate it. Some social media questions. Our pal Young Judd, regular contributor, and get used to getting this question, Neil, until camp breaks, okay? Judd wants to know, how do you feel going into camp without a bona fide starting running back? Nervous? Or are you excited to watch the battle for the job? I know what your answer is, because there's, might not be names guys are familiar with, but there's some good athletes coming to compete, right?
Yeah, we're going to have 6 guys at camp, maybe 7. And 5 of those guys have played professionally in the National Football League and other leagues. So I have no issues at all. I believe we'll have a good running back there. The guy that we have to replace had a great year and has moved on to another team. So we're going to have to, just like I said earlier, attrition. He's a guy that, off the field, he is an amazing individual. So I'm never going to say anything bad about players who move on for greener pastures, but at the end of the day, we run a football team and we have to find the next guy, which we will. And of the 6 or 7 guys we have at camp, we believe that one of those guys will be able to excel to the next level and make us as good as we were, or hopefully even better.
We had to narrow it down to a couple of the best ones. This one, not necessarily a football question, but it affects all of our routines, right? And I'm excited for it personally. But Bob on Instagram wanting to know, what is your make of all the 4:00 starts at home?
Okay, good question. I'm excited about it. I like the fact that it lets more people in the province come to watch this provincial football team, the BC Lions. So if you're in Victoria, if you're in Kamloops, if you're in Kelowna, coming down early and then being able to get home, or even if you're in the Lower Mainland, coming down for a early football game and then being able to go out for dinner after. That's the good thing. Now, if I could put my Wally hat on, I know he wouldn't or is not a fan of the early starts, because he liked to have the 7:30, 8 o'clock starts when the Ticats are in town. So it's, a 12 o'clock or 10 o'clock start for them. And then by the time the second half came around, it's 1:30 in the morning. And, but you know what? Hey, when I used to go to games when I was a kid at BC Place Stadium back in 85, 86, they had afternoon games. There was, 50, 60,000 screaming football fans at BC Place. I know, if we can get back to that level, wow. But, even a little bit, our fans have spoken. They wanted the earlier game. So this is exactly what, we wanted to do. And it gives an opportunity for more people to come. So that if that's what it means, then let's roll with it and just win games regardless of the time of the start.
Here's one for you very quickly. The very first afternoon game I went to as a kid, Thanksgiving Monday, 1995, 1 o'clock. Calgary was in town. Met Doug Flutie in Courtnall's restaurant.
Oh,
Remember
wow.
Courtnall's across the street there?
Yeah, for sure.
It became Back 40 and a bunch of others. So there you go. That's
Rusty Rocket Ship Courtnall, a good Maple Leaf, and of course his brother Jeff.
There you go. Yeah. Who'd the Leafs trade him for? Can't remember.
I don't know. He was Rusty was there as a young guy. I just watched the old owner had a bio
Harold
on
Ballard?
CBC, Harold Ballard, and Rusty was one of the guys in the early '80s when the team wasn't that good, but he was a young guy that they sort of just drove out of town. I remember just back, if you want to talk a little bit of hockey, I remember going to my first game when Russ Courtnall was a Canuck, and man, he was fast. I remember him getting the puck and just skating. I'm like, who is this guy? Because he was rolling, so it was pretty fun to see.
Had the long hair. His hair would blow.
Yeah.
He was skating so fast.
Yeah.
Nick Kowalski's just sitting there like, who the hell are these guys you talking
We had
about?
both Courtnall buzz. Remember, we had both Russ and Jeff. I was a big Rusty Rocket Ship Courtnall fan. I was a big fan of Russ, and he was. They're BC guys too. So, you know me, I love the BC guys regardless if it's football or hockey. So,
Yeah, Victoria. I saw Jeff was hanging out at a Canuck practice there a couple of weeks ago on the bench talking to Rick Tocchet. So
yeah,
we got to get Rick Tocchet to a game this year. I think he's
we should.
I think he's settling down in Vancouver full time. Neil, we've covered a wide range of topics as always, and we appreciate it. And we will keep hounding you between now and the draft for some interviews. Love it.
Sounds good. Have me on anytime, guys. I'll be around. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Neil.
Thank you. Thanks to Neil McEvoy for joining us. And can talk football with him all the time. And I haven't tallied this up. I think he's the all-time leader on this podcast in terms of guest appearances.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's great time. Himself, Tyler Gammon, Ryan Rigmaiden, Rob Ralph, Rick Campbell, of course, too. Very much entrenched in draft preparation. And we talked about Arrow Up at the start here, but we'll be going behind the scenes on draft night again as well. So, excellent stuff with Neil. Nick, we've talked about you discovering new parts of the province. You were down in Victoria and Nanaimo, was it? How was your holiday?
Yep, first time on the island, and it was fantastic. I had some family in town, specifically my mom came to visit, so we made a visit. Yeah, we stayed a night in Victoria. Beautiful down there. Like I was stunned how close, like the water side. It didn't really feel like British Columbia to me. It didn't really feel like Canada to me. Like you're right along the ocean too. That was a really cool experience. It was really windy when we were down there though, so it was kind of funny. I actually have a video of me like struggling to walk down this pier in Victoria because the wind was so strong. But made the drive up to Nanaimo. Did a hike in between where we saw 4 waterfalls. So just your average Monday in BC, right? But it was pretty cool being out there, and I'm sure you've been out there a bunch, right?
Yeah, spent a lot of time on the island, just like 2-3 days at a time, maybe. We went last couple times. We went to Parksville.
Yeah, above Nanaimo, right?
Yeah, well, you ferry to Nanaimo, and it's about a half-hour, 45-minute drive up island, and nice resort on the water. Haven't been to Victoria much lately, but Vancouver Island. You can't go wrong. It's a nice place just to go. You can go sightsee. You can chill. Did you have tea at the Empress Hotel? You don't go to Victoria without doing that, bud.
We did not, but we walked by it. We walked around quite a bit.
Yeah.
We went to have lunch on this like waterfront restaurant. I can't remember the name of it, top of my head, but it was really good. And the food out there was really strong too. We even went to Seattle after and had some seafood at this restaurant on the pier. So a lot of good eats this week.
Was that Ivers on the pier you went to?
Oh, it was the crab pot, I want to say,
Okay, yeah.
right by the Ferris wheel. Yeah.
Next time you got to go have the chowder and the bread bowl at the Ivers. Great
Yeah.
spot. They actually have Ivers in the ballpark. They have stands. At least they did. Didn't check when you and I went there last year, but you did go to a Mariners game. You saw the Brewers complete the old sweep there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got. I would like to have a word with whoever was deciding on the roof status of the Mariners game yesterday, because we're driving up there. It's clear blue skies. Not even a thought that the roof would be closed potentially, but we go inside and I'm looking kind of through like when you're walking in the concourse, you can kind of see through the aisles like the stadium, and it looked really dark. And I almost thought to myself, is there like a storm coming in, or is there these dark gray clouds? But no, the roof was closed, and behind it you see blue skies. And I actually went on Twitter, I typed in Mariners roof, and there were a bunch of people who were saying, what's going on here? Because there's a lot of kids there. It was a 1:00 start on a Wednesday. And yeah, it was a really bizarre decision to have that roof closed. I was kind of disappointed because nothing better than watching baseball in the sun, right? But
yeah, it's odd. I mean, my experience there is the weather really has to be brutal for them to close it.
Yeah, right.
There's been times I've gone when it's like this outside, cloudy, windy, looks like it's going to rain, and you don't dress as warm because the roof's going to be closed. But then, sure enough, they keep it open. Like I think maybe 25, 30 games I've been to that park, and I think I've seen the roof close twice. Like
yeah,
that's
I was
how
stunned.
infrequent it is. But the Mariners are struggling. The Blue Jays, they dropped a couple in Houston, but they're scoring lots of runs. Varsho, Vladdy, Bichette. The lineup kind of top heavy right now, but baseball's kind of kicking into full gear. Stanley Cup playoffs again. I know it's cliche, but round one of the playoffs, particularly the first couple of nights, you really can't beat it. And we were joking with Neil about his Maple Leafs off to a tough start against Tampa, so the panic setting in probably, but really fun time of year in the sporting world, not just because our season's around the corner.
Yeah, we were just blessed too with what a night one for the Stanley Cup playoffs. You get back-to-back overtime games for the West Coast games. That was really neat. I'm still getting used to, like I brought this up before, but the earlier start times for the sporting games. But that Dallas game on the game one, it ended at like 11:30 here, which is 1:30 local. So that was pretty ridiculous, a double overtime game. And the Oilers games have been entertaining as always. Seattle is up 1-0 as we record this in their series against Colorado. I'd say I'm very, very confident Colorado will get it done in game two. This could age very poorly, but it's the best time of the year. You got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, games every night.
NFL
it's awesome.
Draft in about a week from today too. Yeah.
So a lot going on. We're right around the corner. It's everything's coming up. Everything's sunshine and rainbows.
You mentioned the Kraken. Yeah, like, I mean, worst case, they're going home with a split. So
yeah,
Climate Pledge Arena on Saturday, I think, is game 3. That's going to be off the charts rocking. I'm going to make a point to sit down and watch that, at least the start of it, for the intros and the first couple of shifts. So
are they going to be doing any like outdoor parties, to your knowledge, like the Canadian cities have kind of taken on these last decade or so?
Yeah, that's kind of taken off in the States, right? I mean, they've done that in Tampa the last couple years. Have they done it in Vegas? I would think something would go on in. It's funny. It was in Edmonton the other night. I was watching, and it just looked like the weather was terrible. There was kind of one wide shot where the fans that were just standing there were just standing there. And I don't know about you. That's not high on my list. If I'm not in the arena, I don't want to be outside at one of those. I don't know. I prefer the peace and quiet watching it at home.
I'm definitely with you there. My counterpoint to that is I've been to Jurassic Park, the Toronto Raptors outdoor viewing party, and I loved that because I'm not a diehard Raptors fan, but it was really
Right.
fun to be in that environment. So I think if you don't care enough about the
You're
sport,
neutral, yeah.
then it's really fun. But yeah, if you're a diehard fan of the team, it's not maybe the best experience to be at.
Yeah, I mean, the example everyone talks about here, 2011 Stanley Cup playoffs final. We know what happened at the end with the loss and the city getting pretty much destroyed. But I had no desire to do the Georgia Hamilton Street viewing party. Like if I was lucky to go to some playoff games, and if I wasn't, I'm at home. Like at home, pour my own beer, peace and quiet.
Yeah,
The bathroom's 5 feet away. Like anyway.
everything at your
times
convenience. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, maybe one day we'll experience the Stanley Cup playoffs in this city again. Maybe. You just never know. Thanks to Neil McEvoy. Thanks to Nick Kowalski, Trevor Martins, our producer, the boys at Sakaris and Price, Go Goat Sports. Great to be aligned with them. And we encourage you to subscribe, rate, leave a review. And we'll be back next week. We'll get to studio. Yeah, that's another thing. We didn't even get into it. We don't have to now, but we have a new downtown office. So next time we go to the studio, we can just walk there instead of driving. So